Hi there, and welcome to the 5th episode of the Make Art, Don't Starve podcast. I'm your host, Kelsey.
And I'm your other host, Al, and today we are so excited to be joined by Louise.
Hi.
So tell us about yourself.
I'm Louise. I am an artist and a YouTuber and a course creator. I'm Swedish. I don't know if you can tell, and I came to this career after like a previous life as a freelance writer mostly and freelance web designer. I did that like throughout my 20s, a lot of like startup hustling and growth hacking and that kind of like digital marketing space. And then I just gradually fell out of love with it. Right around the pandemic, I experienced burnout, like major, just threw in the towel essentially. And I went on sick leave for about a year, and that's when I rediscovered painting, which is something that I had done in like little stints all throughout my life, drawing and painting, but not really seriously because I figured, what's the point? I'm not good at it and everyone else is so good and like that train has passed and yeah, those thoughts. But now I started painting just as a way to soothe myself. To just relax and do something with my hands, something that was not in front of the computer, and it made me feel very, very good. Figured, I wonder if I could just do this all day.
Yeah.
And I started like playing with the thought of just becoming an artist instead, which felt completely impossible at the start. And I had to really work through my like identity. It was a major identity crisis, essentially. Am I allowed to just do this, just reinvent myself? Like you hear everyone else does and you think it's so cool, but then when you're considering it, it's like, no, I can't do that. I started painting and practicing my art skills, and I put out my first real like painting collection last summer, and also started my YouTube channel and started making Skillshare classes. And yeah, it's been a wild ride. It's been like 9 or 10 months now, and still feels a bit weird, but yeah, I guess I'm an artist now.
I don't think that weird feeling ever really goes away.
No.
Really? Okay, yeah. I guess that's a sign that you're like healthy, normal person.
Yeah, because it's like, it's very unreal, especially sort of when you start to really take off and you start to grow a lot more, because you're watching your life like sort of change in real time, definitely for the better, but you still have to like get up and make breakfast and like put your pants on, and it's like,
and do bookkeeping and stuff. It's like a real job.
Right, yeah. I think both of us really relate to the idea of like making art as like self-care, because life is really difficult, and I think, finding whatever way that you can to cope with the stressors in your life is the best thing for you. And I think art is just definitely one of those things you can really throw yourself really hard into, and it's a great hobby, and it doesn't really matter if you're good at it as long as it like sort of makes you happy and it fulfills that part of your life for you. Yeah.
That was my major discovery, was like, I can enjoy this and still suck at it, because I was not good in the beginning, especially not at watercolor, because I hadn't really tried watercolor that much before. And it felt like the most difficult medium to me, especially when you're a control freak and a perfectionist, which I am big time. So it also felt like personal development to get into watercolor, because I really had to work through my control issues. And it felt like a dance, letting go, and just, I almost exclusively painted abstract in the beginning, because I didn't want that stress of trying to make it look like something. It was just so freeing to just put on some music and just blow around paint with a straw and experiment with the colors. And yeah, it was wonderful. It was really therapeutic.
The whole thing of like, it's okay to suck at it, and that being a major part of growth is so, like, having that realization helped so much with my entire life. Like that entire thought process of like, you don't have to do things to be good at them. Yeah. And that kind of translating into like taking self-care, taking care of yourself and loving yourself. Art helps so much with that. Just the idea of like, you don't have to be good at everything you do. It's okay if I'm bad at it. It's okay if I do it just to do it for fun. Yeah. I think that was a huge part of growth for me as well.
And especially that
yeah.
pressure comes in a lot when you're trying to monetize your hobbies and make it like
Yeah.
your job. The pressure to be good at it is even harder, but I think it can be really important to like significantly brand yourself as a person that is just trying, that is just like sharing the
Yeah,
journey to getting to where you want to be and not trying to like be like, I'm the expert. This is definitely the way that you go about doing things. And just sort of like being
exactly.
comfortable like that is, I think, it definitely fosters a very positive community.
That was what YouTube was for me in the beginning. It was like an experiment to just practice putting myself out there and show my journey. Not really my art. The art was never like the main role of it all. It was just a side thing. Like, oh yeah, and I painted this bird. Ta-da! But the thing was just practicing being on camera and being vulnerable, being mediocre, and just having fun with it. And I really didn't think I could do it. It still
You're
feels
doing
very
it.
weird. It was probably like at the bottom of my list of things that I would ever thought that I would do in my life. Start a YouTube channel, because I was always very shy and, camera shy, a writer. I not really good at talking, and that's also a practice thing. You just do it and you get better at it. And it's the same with
Yeah.
art. It's like just do it and have fun with it, and you will get better. You don't have to think so hard how you're going to improve and like overthink it the way I had done previously in my life with everything, like hustle culture that you mentioned.
Right. Yeah.
Taking the hustle culture mindset into an art practice.
You said a few times that you really never would have considered kind of this as a career option. What? And I feel like this is kind of a risky career if you're not. It feels like an all or nothing kind of thing, and like if it doesn't work, it kind of feels like a waste of time. Whatever. What made you? What was that last push to feel like this is worth it? This is something that I want to pursue.
I guess I kind of felt like I had nothing to lose, because I was so like down in a dark pit of despair about what to do. I was just looking for a way out that didn't depress me. I just knew that I couldn't keep doing what I had done, no matter how much I wanted to believe that I could do that. But I had already tried a lot of times to feel excited about my work, and I just didn't.
Right.
And as soon as I approached art with this new mindset, I felt like I just wanted every day to be like that. And I knew that if I could feel like that every day, I would get so much more energy to do all of the other things around it, to do the boring stuff and the really hard stuff. And I also felt like if I could do this and like be myself and just be honest and vulnerable and okay with showing my journey, then I could start putting myself out there in a way that I hadn't dared to do before. Because even as a writer and I've had lots of different blogs and email newsletters, and I've even made a course at some point, and I wrote a book, and I did all that stuff. But then when I had put it out into the world, I would be like, okay, there it is. Now I'm just gonna go away, and I'm not gonna like toot my horn and go on podcasts or show myself, because I wasn't comfortable with that. I didn't really want to like put my name on what I was doing. It didn't really feel like me completely. And when I started doing art and I started painting birds, which is just my passion, I love birds, and I feel like I could be myself with my art practice. I felt like, well, I can start putting myself out there. I'm fine with, being awkward and doing all these scary activities, as long as I can have this as my base, like my safe space. I can have my art, and I can be an artist and have that be my thing. Yeah, I guess it kind of gave me the courage to do everything else around it, and it gave me the courage to start my YouTube channel. And starting my YouTube channel finally let me grow past a point that I hadn't really done before, because I had kept myself small. The first thing that made me feel like I can do this, because I felt like as long as I can have this, I can do all of the other stuff and not be still be scared, but do it anyways.
Right. That's awesome. It's cool to hear that art and this platform and has really empowered you. I mean, it sounds like you just are happier and you feel better about yourself and braver, and that's so awesome to hear that you like feel empowered by your art practice.
It changed everything.
I think that sort of broader skill that you were touching on of like being comfortable with being uncomfortable is such a good life lesson, and it really does have like this enormous snowball effect across the rest of your life once you really get good at that skill of being able to sort of take that leap, because it does make everything so much easier. It makes starting a channel easier, and like you are sort of gaining confidence and independence and more sort of trust in yourself and your capabilities, and like that is so hard to learn, and that is so hard for like someone else to give you advice about. It really is a thing that you have to just do by trying. But having that skill, that will carry you through the rest of your life, even if this career doesn't work out. Being comfortable with taking that first leap and like taking that risk, that is a literally invaluable lesson.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I don't know either how you could explain that or teach that. It's just a mentality that, I mean, I've always been a self-help book junkie, voracious reader of self-help books, and I don't know at what point I like adopted that mindset, but it's helped me through all of my endeavors in my life, because I've done a lot of different types of stuff and I've been uncomfortable so much, and I guess after a while you learn that I didn't die from it, you know. I like with public speaking, for example, which really, I mean, it is one of the most common fears, and a lot of people would rather like die than do public speaking. It's that huge of a phobia. And I did that a lot throughout my 20s, and I mean, the feeling is just, it's awful. You feel like you're gonna die, like physically die and throw up and just die in your own like pile of when you put yourself through that enough times and you start to like recognize the feeling, like, oh yeah, here's the nausea and here's the I'm gonna die thoughts, I'm just gonna go up and do my thing, and when you've realized enough times that you don't die and you're actually getting a little bit better each time, that's just such an amazing feeling, and it translates into, as you said, into all of the other things in your life. I'm gonna get better at it, and it's gonna feel amazing, even if I mess up along the way. But no one's gonna like execute me if I, if I do so. Like, that's what it feels like. It really feels like I'm going to my own execution, like public execution, which is insane. But yeah.
So speaking of scary things and like taking that leap, Louise, you recently talked about, or I think it was a while ago in one of your more popular videos, about how you quit Instagram and how that was like a little bit scary. Like you weren't sure if you were going to be able to market yourself and sell your work without like that huge platform. And I feel like Instagram for the longest time has been like, okay, if I'm an artist, I have to have an account on this place, and I have to start, posting my work and growing, and that is like the default place to be. But lots of people right now are leaving Instagram in the wake of tons of recent decisions and a decrease in engagement. So it's definitely been a trend. But how has your experience been sort of when you were leading up to quitting Instagram, and then after, and sort of how has your marketing strategy changed, and how have your results been impacted or even like positively benefited from leaving Instagram?
Yeah, well, I actually did quit once before, a few years ago. I was right in the middle of my hustle. I like to call them my hustle years, so like my 20s. So I had quit before, and I had read, all of the books that everyone has read, like Deep Work by Cal Newport and Darren Lanier's book, and Arguments for Deleting Your Social Media Accounts Right Now, or whatever it's called. So I think that was around 2015 or 2015, I think. I quit the first time, and I actually deleted my account. I mean, it wasn't a big deal. I don't know how many followers I had, maybe like 500, 600. So right around where I am right now with my Instagram, which I'm not using. But so I did quit, and I quit Twitter, I quit Facebook, and I felt so much better. And then I didn't use it for a lot of years, and my freelance career was completely fine. I still got clients. I still got clients by reaching out, like just cold emailing. And by referral, and I wrote a blog, and mostly I reached out to the people I wanted to work with. It's pretty straightforward. If you're a freelance writer, you can always just email someone and offer your services. I would say it probably lifted my career rather than
interesting.
Impact, because I mean, my freelance clients weren't recruiting from Instagram anyway.
Right.
I was mostly doing copywriting stuff for companies, and I don't think they are like hunting for copywriters on Instagram. So so I just felt like I felt better. I was more productive and more like sane. But then I became an artist, and I thought that maybe it's different now. You know, maybe this is what Instagram is for. Maybe now I should really start thinking about using it. And everyone else is using Instagram. I'm very sensitive to what everyone else is doing, and I have a really hard time sometimes to just, okay, but what do I want to do? What actually feels good for me? But it was kind of like a healthy practice for me for a few months in the beginning when I just restarted my account, because it felt good to have an outlet to just post my work, my ugly artwork for the day, and just to get over that feeling of sharing my work, because that was all very new to me. I had never shared art online anywhere. So I had fun with it for a few months, and I got like, I don't know, 50 followers or something. And then all of those same feelings started creeping back in, you know, the feeling of, well, why didn't that post do well? And no one is seeing my stuff, no one is following me, and this feels pointless, and all of those same thoughts, you know, all of the hashtag game, like what hashtags will I use for this, and all of the strategies and tactics and hacks and, you know, the stupid algorithm. And I just felt like, well, this is not doing anything good for me anymore. I tried different strategies, and I tried writing longer captions, like using it like a blog, because maybe that would do a difference, because, I don't know, more personality or something. There's also this side effect that the more stuff I put out, like the more watercolor paintings I put out, the more trapped I felt. Like I felt like as soon as I posted anything other than that, there would be this drop off. Like, no, we don't like to see this. We want watercolor birds. And I wanted to try other stuff. I wanted to, like, I love drawing with charcoal, for example. So I posted like a few charcoal drawings and started getting, you know, people unfollowing me. And that was not how I wanted to feel in my art practice. I didn't feel like I needed to find my style that early on. I just really wanted to experiment and try a bunch of different things. And that's what my YouTube channel was for, because there I felt like I could just do experiments and have fun with it and try lots of different mediums and not be trapped in the same way. So I think YouTube is probably what really convinced me that I didn't need Instagram this time around either, because I was like gaining 1 follower on Instagram per week, and I was getting 10 followers a day on YouTube. I am just a long form content type of person. I enjoy writing longer stuff. I enjoy elaborating on things. If I post an artwork, I would also like to talk about that and write about it. And it always felt very limiting to me to just produce all of these little short snippets of stuff that were just going to fly past someone's feed. So I felt like, well, I can get everything I need from YouTube now, and my email list and all of these other places that I felt were more catered towards my philosophy and my content philosophy.
I feel like every single artist that I talk about, that I talk to about Instagram and YouTube and stuff, always talk about how that feeling of being trapped in like a certain kind of content. And for whatever reason, like the long form nature of YouTube just allows for so much more nuance and so much more exploration, which I don't think is like immediately obvious, but for whatever reason people just like really are drawn to YouTube because it does allow for more experimentation. And I find it kind of interesting that like Instagram has similar features to YouTube, right? Like they have IGTV, they have Reels, but for whatever reason the culture is very much not like, I want to see you grow as an artist, but I am following you for a very specific value prop statement, and I want to see the content that I signed up for. And I think some YouTube channels do fall into that trap sometimes if they don't set the expectation of experimentation. But
Exactly.
it is interesting. That's kind of like the default culture and like what everyone as an artist really enjoys about YouTube.
Yeah. I do believe in more like building, I don't like using these words, but building a brand of you as a person, you as an artist, and not necessarily only on your art.
Right.
I do think that, because then you are more free to try different things and,
For sure.
you know, use your voice in other ways and talk about why you're making art and what it means to you, and just go through different phases, which is what I think most artists do anyway. Most artists go through various phases and work in different mediums and evolve. So it feels a lot more natural to just, this is who I am and this is why I make art, and this is like the common theme of my art. But sometimes I want to paint birds, sometimes I want to paint portraits, I might want to try more landscapes at some point. I think it's necessary to have that artistic freedom to just go anywhere.
Absolutely.
And explore and try different things.
Yeah, I definitely fell into the trap on Instagram of I posted one kind of thing, and for a really long time, if I posted anything besides that, that post would absolutely get no attention, and it was so bad for my mental health. Like I would feel so bad. And I mean, I consider Instagram to be like my main platform. I think I've kind of found like a balance instead of actually like quitting it, because I feel like if I quit it, I just like wouldn't know what to do.
Yeah.
I think that has to do with kind of like I started as an artist on Instagram for kind of a personal reason, not really like to be like a artist online. And you know, Instagram has always been like a part of, you know, since I was like a tween, I've been using Instagram. So I don't think I would know what to do without it. But I like my strategy now is I kind of started when it was, you know, the algorithm now is so mean to artists. It's so bad to artists. And I started when it wasn't that way. So I kind of have an established audience that I don't really have to worry about the algorithm, and I can kind of do whatever I want and I'll be fine. And I will post and then I'll leave. And then I will not look. I don't look at other people's posts. I don't respond to comments until like days later.
I think that's really healthy.
Yeah, I don't spend time on Instagram. I, for a long time, would spend my entire day on Instagram. And I would be like checking the analytics of every single thing that I posted, and I'd be like, okay, how many likes now? How many likes now? And how many followers do I have? And it was so bad for like I felt so bad all the time, and I was so worried about what other people were doing and what I need to do.
Yeah.
And anytime there was like, oh, the algorithm is changing, I would have like panic attacks. Like, oh my gosh, I'm not gonna be able to be an artist anymore. Yeah. And even though like I think quitting is great. I'm so happy for everyone that is quitting Instagram, because I think Instagram should start to be like, it should be separated from artists at this point. That should not be considered like the default for artists, because it doesn't make sense. Like it doesn't do anything for artists anymore. So I'm so happy for everyone that's quitting. But I think even just taking a step back has helped me so much with, you know, being okay with my own art and not caring about trends and whatever. And I think there's some benefits to it. Like I discover new artists all the time, and I discover, you know,
that is true.
Things that I never would have done otherwise. I make art friends over there, but not spending all of my time on Instagram has really made my life a lot better.
There are ways to use it without it using you as much, at least.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
So you can use it in a totally just professional manner, like you do. Like just go in, post your stuff, and go out, and not obsess over like the reactions to it, and not feel. I'm trying to do that with YouTube now as well, to not be as obsessed. I've removed the studio app from my phone like 20 times or so, but it's off my phone right now as we speak.
I did that same thing where I deleted it, but now I have a tab on my phone where I can access the full studio app, because if you do it on the browser on your mobile device, then you can see everything. So
Yeah.
it's not an improvement, it's actually worse.
Yeah, that's the same thing with Instagram. When I noticed that I didn't have to have the app, but I could use it in the browser and not have ads. Because when you
Right.
access it through the browser, there are no ads. So it was like better that way. And then I just would still be on my phone on Instagram in the browser. So it took a really long while for me to
Yeah.
just train that behavior out of me.
Right.
Yeah.
But like I'm still like I haven't deleted my Instagram. I still have it. Ironically, when my video about about quitting Instagram, I don't know
Right.
how many hundreds of my new followers came from that video, but it's really ironic.
I had that same experience of like the
I bet you
content that I've
did, yeah.
made about sort of quitting Instagram. Like I'm very vocal, like I don't use Instagram, you guys. Like you don't have to follow me there.
Don't go
But
there.
my YouTube channel has done more to grow my Instagram than posting
Yes.
consistently, using
Exactly.
Reels, doing anything on the app ever has. And so I think that touches on like maybe an opportunity for artists to still use Instagram, but not as a means of growth, but as a means of like nurturing a following, of being able to communicate with your subscribers in a way that like you're not committed to, you know, the YouTube community tab or anything. So I think that maybe there's a place. I haven't started posting consistently or taking it very seriously yet, but I might try and find some way to still use Instagram that does not focus on growth, sort of like you were talking about, Al, because like I don't want to be in that space again where I'm trying to like
Yeah.
hustle and like grow my Instagram account.
And you get really easily sucked into that. I feel too. It's really
Yeah.
hard to just
Yeah.
stay sane and still use it a little bit. Yeah, I also view it as like just keeping my door open on that. 'Cause
Yeah.
you never know what's going to happen with Instagram. Maybe they will make changes. Maybe
Maybe.
they will get sold to some other company. I mean, anything could happen.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's still like a touch point for people to discover me and
Yeah.
and like find my other stuff that I do.
Right.
I still have like that link in bio little
Yeah.
menu with like directing people in towards the other things that I do. And sometimes I might want to just post. I mean, the first time I quit Instagram, it was very like black and white. Like this is against my values. I'm not going to use this. I'm going to delete it. But now I feel like it's more of a nuanced, well, it's not serving me right now, and I'm just going to
Right.
leave it be. I'm not even going to put out a post saying, "Oh, I'm quitting Instagram because this place sucks," and make a big deal out of it. I've just
Right.
Yeah.
I post sporadically, and if people want to follow me, then sure. I mean, I might post
Yeah.
someday again, but yeah, it feels really good to not have to think about it and not have to go in
Yeah.
and obsessively check all the time and
Right.
spend creative energy on trying to, post stuff and maintain that thing.
Yeah.
So
So you quit Instagram. One of the things that you have started doing is you do Skillshare classes.
yes.
And I was watching one of your videos about how much money you made and like how the growth was going. So how is that still like working really well for you?
It was a lot because I had been
Right.
like broke for the longest time and on sick leave and just
Yeah.
completely at the bottom, starting from the bottom. And then when I made my 6 month or more, like I think it was closer to 7 months, but I mean so much had happened by then. It really started to feel like a legit income, especially
Yeah.
for me because me and my partner live on the countryside and we have very little expenses. And so just a few $100, it does
Right.
a lot for us.
Yeah.
And just while I was editing that video, like from one day to the other, because my latest Skillshare class had became a staff pick too.
Right.
And so it had gotten a lot more attention and traffic and students. So just to, since recording that video and while editing it, I had to like update what it was at, like my next month.
Yeah.
And I think that by the time I had published it, it was already up by several $100. So
Oh wow.
I mean, my latest payout was over $800.
Wow.
Yes.
And how many-
I have 4 classes. Yes,
Dang.
4 classes.
That's really incredible. Like you just
Yeah,
make the
that's
classes
a lot.
once. It's super low maintenance after that. Like that
Yeah.
that's incredible.
It's amazing. I honestly can't believe it.
Yeah.
And people just find my stuff organically, which is like unheard
Right.
of nowadays.
Yeah,
Because
that's got to be really rewarding.
yeah, and I mean, the first class I released, I did put a post on Instagram because I was still using Instagram at the time. I quit around October is when I like
Okay.
put the brakes on Instagram, but I did post on about that then. And other than that, all I've done when I released a new class is to make a YouTube video about it, which is like a short snippet from the class or like an exercise, and just a little pitch at the end. And that has brought me a few referrals, but other than that, I mean, 80% of it is just from within Skillshare. People are just finding my stuff. And like at the beginning, I think I might have gotten like around the 3-month mark. Maybe I had like around 10 new students.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
And now it's like 20, 30, sometimes even 50, especially over the weekend, because that's when that's when most people are using it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's incredible, and people are uploading, their projects, and I get to go in and like cheer them on and give them constructive criticism, and just it's amazing. And I mean, I am kind of wary about getting too invested in a platform whose rules I cannot control. But since this is still my property, my classes, I can always just take them and put them somewhere else.
Yeah.
And Skillshare doesn't own my content. It really just feels like this awesome place to find students and to collect reviews. I mean, that's also one of the hassles of trying to do online courses, trying to get good reviews. You have to really nag people for it. And here it's just sort of automatically taken care of. And I mean, the whole interaction with the students, it's amazing. I love it. It's really been a game changer, because I mean, I'm quite recently monetized on YouTube, but it's still like a few dollars a day. So it's not really an income yet. So
was your motivation for starting your Skillshare classes, was that more income motivated, or have you always wanted to teach? Was it community driven?
Or was it like marketing related? Like, have you had people like who found your Skillshare classes subscribe to you on YouTube, or like sort of what was the biggest reason that you wanted to start a Skillshare class?
Honestly, I needed to start making an income. That was like the first. And
valid.
And several of my role models on YouTube, like people that I looked up to, and her name is Arlisha Yetzer. She was like my first real role model that made me feel like maybe I could do this too, because she can do it, and she also is like kind of like soft spoken and
I love her content.
Yes, I love her so much, and her videos about how much money she makes, and I think that's when she revealed how large of a percentage of her income was from Skillshare. That's when I really felt like that could actually be doable. Now I just gotta learn art skills so I can make classes. But yeah, that was my initial motivation. And also, I mean, I like teaching. And when I discovered that type of content doesn't really do as well on YouTube, like that more educational. I put out one like tutorial that I later turned into a Skillshare class, which was like a watercolor tutorial. And it's like my worst performing video on YouTube. I mean, no one has watched that.
Wow.
Yeah, and
surprising.
And a few other people have mentioned that too, like YouTubers, art YouTubers, that that's not really, doesn't feel like why. I mean, studio vlogs and sketchbook tours do a lot better than, at least now. I don't think it was like that always, but it does feel like people are more gravitating toward that type of content on YouTube. And but on Skillshare, that's the type of material that people really want, and you don't have that same retention problem, trying to maintain people's attention.
Right.
Yeah, I was
they're there to learn, so it's a lot easier to like get compensated for all of that time that it takes to make a tutorial. So.
Yeah, I was recently invited to participate in the Skillshare Teach Lab residency program, where basically you're paired with a one-on-one coach, and they sort of guide you through the process of making your first class. And a part of this process when you're first matched with your coach is that you send over like a test video, and I already make videos and stuff, so that wasn't really a problem for me. I just sent them a link to one of my more recent videos, or like a video in which like I would do like a very kind of similar format for the class. And my coach was telling me that, like, Kelsey, like, you're like, this is a little bit too fast paced for Skillshare. Like, you can like slow down and like scale back. I find that like very rewarding, because a lot of sort of my editing philosophy for YouTube is like, okay, I have to make this as entertaining as possible. I have to like make sure that there is something unresolved in the video. I have to tell a story. Like, there are so many rules to paying attention, and you can just ignore that on Skillshare.
Just
you can,
a
like,
ton of B-roll and just a lot of quick cuts, and I mean, it gets tiresome after a while.
Yeah.
It does. It can be a little bit fun and it can be creative, but when you have to do it all of the time, it can be like, okay, like, I want to make something slower. I want to make something more casual. And I think that was sort of the impetus for us starting this podcast, because it is like longer form content where you can just kind of relax.
You get to breathe. I mean, literally, because I would remove all of my breaths, like, in my videos.
Same. Yep, the pauses
the slightest
between words.
second. Because it was just gonna be impossible to click away from or something. But it gets. I think it's a valuable skill to have. I really think so. And it has probably helped my Skillshare videos a lot. Was that a cat's tail? Hello.
He says that Kelsey isn't paying attention to me, so I need to make her pay attention to me.
I need to show my butt more.
Star.
He loves to photobomb like literally everything. Whenever I'm on stream, it's like he's like attuned to the fact that I'm on stream. He's just like, all right, this is my time to shine.
He's longing for a following of his own and some recognition. But anyway, so I think it's a valuable skill to learn how to do like really quick edits and how to maintain people's attention, how to use B-roll and like engage people, especially early on in a video, in like a trailer for a course, and
true.
I mean, throughout all of the videos. So I think that definitely helped my classes, at least my later classes, because my first one was, kind of all right, but it's not something that I am particularly proud of now. But my later classes, when I was more used to YouTube and I had learned a lot about editing, they are definitely a step up, and it's useful, but it's also very liberating with Skillshare to not have to focus as much on that. You really can take more time.
Right.
And I've also gotten comments from students like, I didn't really, get a chance to see what you did there, because one of my classes, it wasn't real time. I had that thought like, I gotta speed this up because this is so boring to watch. But I got comment like, I didn't really follow you.
Right.
That's a good learning for the next class. I don't have to speed things up. I could actually people want to show you do things in real time. So in my latest class, which was a portrait drawing class, my actual lessons were a bit shorter, and they were more like, I wasn't really demonstrating. I was showing a lot of like short snippets of a lot of different demonstrations just to teach a concept. But then at the end of the class, I had like two or three real-time demonstrations where they could watch the whole thing. I have like selected 2 or 3 of my process videos that I had recorded beforehand, because I recorded myself drawing portraits for like months. So I had all this material, and then I used snippets from that material to teach like a step-by-step process for drawing portraits. And then in the end, I put the real-time videos with like I don't know if I had background music. I don't think I did. But just real-time process videos.
Oh.
That's really interesting.
That is so interesting. Can you imagine like doing that on YouTube? People would
a
minute-long retention. Like, that'd be crazy.
Well, people don't even watch my speed paints, so I don't know what I would do on YouTube.
I've done a couple of like real-time videos, and you should see the retention graph. It's like, okay, we start out, but then it's
I can imagine that.
Yeah,
that was the deal with my tutorial as well. And I had like put some effort into that. I had like a little educational bit in the end, and what the specific colors I was using and materials and all of that. But I don't think it's why people are, or at least my people are looking for it on YouTube.
Right.
And maybe people are learning now that there is Skillshare. Maybe they would rather go there to get tutorials. I don't know, but it feels like it's changing, at least on YouTube, for that kind of material.
Yeah. I've definitely noticed that there are some creators who can do tutorials, but they're usually like people who only do kind of like, let's do this specific drawing together kind of people, rather than like looking at your channel. I wouldn't expect tutorials from you.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that's like if I do tutorials, it's usually it would only do well if it's something that people really wanted to see from me. I couldn't just do a random tutorial. I think it's kind of similar to Instagram, but like way more free on YouTube. But like if you set up kind of a general idea for what you're going to do on your channel and you do something totally off base from that, it generally doesn't do well. And I think also from your, like what I saw of your channel, like looking at it overall, like you seem like a professional who would have a Skillshare class. You know what I mean? That I would expect to go to Skillshare.
Thank you.
Like your whole page is so like clean. I would be like, oh well, she has a Skillshare class. Like I don't need to watch a YouTube video. There'd be an in-depth Skillshare class. And I think that
well, it was a decision that I made kind of after that failed tutorial that I put out, that why am I even putting this here? I could just, because I am getting more money from Skillshare to produce tutorials. And all it does for my YouTube channel is hurt my retention and my stats and, you know, the way my content is distributed. So I made a conscious decision at that point to just put all of my educational stuff on Skillshare, and all of the more like personality, like showing my studio and talking about important topics and doing vlogs, all of that would live on my YouTube. So that's sort of like the distribution that I've chosen.
Yeah, it totally makes sense that there would be a very sort of unique content strategy for a different platform, especially because Skillshare is so unique, and like obviously like the standards for a good Skillshare class are very different from the standards for a good YouTube video. So that's really interesting, and it's good to hear there's still a place for like long form instructional educational content. Like I'm glad that this is a thing that will continue to exist.
Yes. I really hope it continues to go in the right direction, and there's always that fear that it's going to get oversaturated and they're going to change like their algorithm. They probably have an algorithm, I don't know. But inevitably, I mean, I can't control what they do to their platform and their rules. They recently changed the way they treat like referrals, student referrals, and also I think made some changes to how they pay their teachers. And I mean, that's going to continue. I have no control over that. But as long as this goes the way it does now, and I'm sure a lot of people have found my YouTube channel from Skillshare and vice versa. So they definitely help each other out, those two platforms. And I mean, if at any point it doesn't do anything for me, I could just go somewhere else, because I still have all the material that I've created.
Yeah, and you retain the intellectual properties. You can literally upload the exact same stuff that you have on Skillshare to a platform like Teachable or Kajabi.
Exactly.
And that's like, you can just do that. And that's kind of crazy. Like for a teaching platform to allow you to do that, and you can do that, with your stuff still active on Skillshare. And like that, I don't know how that makes sense for them as a business decision. Their legal team must have decided like, okay, but like, you know, we can't get away with this, like someone could sue us or something, because I can't see a profit-driven company voluntarily making that decision. So I don't know. It's a really unique characteristic.
I mean, I have one of my first class I also have on Teachable, actually. No one has found it there. No one has bought it there. I put it there because I felt like I wanted to offer it if someone for some reason does not want to get involved with Skillshare, doesn't want to buy an account, because I think they recently changed how you buy your, like purchase your subscription as well. I think you might have to like purchase just yearly subscriptions now, which is a bigger expense, obviously. I don't know if that's true, but there are many different reasons why someone might not want to use Skillshare. And so I just wanted to offer it in another way, but it's not like I am promoting the class over on Teachable, because I get so much more back from people using it on Skillshare. I don't have to do anything. I just have to put the content there. They're taking care of like all of the monetary stuff and the payouts and the taxes and the
Yeah.
support, the tech support and handling the comments and people uploading their work and, getting people to leave reviews. All of that is taken care of. So I really
Right.
don't think they have anything to be afraid of from people putting their
Yeah.
stuff elsewhere.
The
And maybe that's why. Because I was also shocked to find out that, am I allowed to do this? To just take my stuff and put somewhere else?
Right.
And yeah, I think that's great.
Yeah, and it's kind of like an insane level of confidence. Like, if you build the best platform, your competition doesn't really matter to you. If they can't
Yeah.
touch you, like, yeah, upload there, but we're still going to be the best for you, and you're still going to want to upload your
Exactly.
classes here first. So, I
Right.
mean, that's like, I guess that does make sense, yeah. But either way, it's like, it's so cool that you're able to build a business as a creative without a super large following just because like you make educational content over on Skillshare. Like that is like
Yeah.
a really insane career roadmap that you just don't need a huge following in order to still make
Yeah.
money.
Yeah, and I don't need to sell my art anyway, because
Yeah.
that was like that was what I set out to do from the start, is I'm gonna paint collections and I'm gonna do exhibitions and I'm gonna be like a proper artist. And I have sold a few paintings, but I realized pretty early that there's a lot of stress involved with that as well, with the
Absolutely.
packaging and the bookkeeping around that. And I haven't done an exhibition yet. I still might want to do it because it's fun, but yeah, I just felt like a lot of difficult stuff that I didn't really figure out and didn't know how to approach, when I could just paint that same painting and make it into a YouTube video, or I could make it into a Skillshare class,
Yeah.
and I don't have to package it and sell it and present it anywhere and worry about that stuff. So
Right.
that's kind of a switch that went off in my brain, that I can still be an artist. I can still paint all day, paint whatever I want to paint. I don't have to sell a single painting. I don't have to
Yeah.
go to galleries or do exhibitions or anything. I mean, of course you can do that too if it's something that feels exciting, if it makes you feel like a more proper artist or anything. I'm not really worried about that. I just want to paint.
Yeah.
And yeah, and making courses is a way for me to teach myself something so that I can teach it to other people,
Yeah.
which is something that I've always like gravitated towards in my content that I've done before as a writer as well. I love learning things and breaking down like complicated stuff and finding a process that I can then teach to other people. So that model suits me better than
Yeah.
like the more traditional artist route, I guess.
Yeah,
Right.
and it's amazing that we live in a time right now where we like have so many options.
Yes,
Like that is like
exactly.
truly just like really incredible. Where like if you don't want to sell your work, you don't have to.
Yeah.
Nothing forcing you to do that. If it's like, if you can't take that on your plate right now with your schedule, like by all means, just like don't do it. And that's been really cool for me. Like I'm trying to build up my shop right now. And I'm trying to like get everything together, but like I am like taking these steps months after I really started to take my career seriously. And I've been making money from my work for months without having
Yeah.
to sell a single painting. I mean, that's really cool. And it doesn't make us any less of an artist. It just means that like we're pursuing alternative means of making money that
Yeah.
are still like contingent on us being creative, knowledgeable people. And that's really cool.
Yeah, there are many roads to the same
So-
goal. I think it's important to ask yourself, what is it that I really want to spend my time doing?
Exactly.
Because it might not be what you think it has to be.
Right.
And the benefit of a
Um,
creative career is really being able to make it exactly what you want it to be, and it doesn't have to be like what anyone else is doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I feel like based on my idea of what an art career is, yours is very different than what I'm used to hearing. And even just like talking to you is just so like, oh yeah, you don't have to follow like one certain roadmap. So what would be like overall advice to anyone who is starting an art career? What would your overall advice?
Wow. I mean, maybe that would be the first step, is to really think long and hard about how you actually want your days to look like.
Yeah.
What do you want to spend most of your time doing? What do you don't enjoy doing? Do you enjoy posting your stuff on Instagram? Do you not enjoy that? Do you like being out into the world and talking to people, making connections, or are you like super shy and would rather just be at home in your studio? I think it's so important to get clear on what your real strengths are and where you can be in like that flow state where you're just effortlessly producing and being in your zone, being in your like zone of brilliance. Because that's going to take you the furthest in the shortest amount of time. And I mean, obviously it's important to challenge yourself and challenge your fears and do uncomfortable things every once in a while. To me, was seeing these role models on YouTube being artists and making art and making content and still being themselves. That made it feel doable, and that gave me like a roadmap for myself to follow. Those would be my first 2 steps, probably.
That's amazing advice.
That is.
I would recommend the
Know what
same
you're
thing to literally anyone.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Build
Yeah.
your own career.
Yeah, don't just like dive headlong into what you think you should do or what other people tell you that you should do.
Yeah.
Because
take your time.
as we have established, there are many roads to get
Yes.
where you want to go. So
Absolutely. All right. Thank you so much for being interviewed by us today, Louise, and taking the time. You are all the way in
Yes.
Sweden. We're recording this at like
Yeah.
10, 11 a.m. So thank you so much for carving time
thank
out of your
you.
schedule.
well, thank
This
you
was
for
a
having
pleasure.
me. It's just so fun meeting you, and
Yeah.
I hope it's going to be an enlightening, fun episode for people. So
Yeah.
kind of building up my courage to that. so thank you for like training me in that as well, because I haven't guested a lot of podcasts, so it was a fun.
So if you're watching on YouTube, go check out Louise and go check out her Skillshare classes. And if you want to be a guest on the podcast, let us know. We're always looking to talk to people and learn more about all the different roadmaps for this career. Well, again, thank you, Louise, and thank you guys for watching or listening wherever you are.
And that's our episode. Bye, guys.
Bye!